Hey everybody, so we're here at the 4Art space and we're here with the awesome Tim Decker. How are you, Tim?
I'm good. I'm really good. I'm always good. Can't complain.
And you came all the way from where?
Milwaukee, Wauwatosa,
Whoa.
Wisconsin. How do
So
you say that?
how long is that of drive?
About 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming all the way here. You know, I was always a big fan of your work and I always loved seeing it. And so, you know, tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll start out like, did you go to school for art, or tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, I've always drawn cartoons, like since second grade. You know, I used to get in trouble in grade school. You know, Timmy's drawn cartoons all the time, but I stuck it out, and I always said I'd work for Disney. I ended up working for Disney Studios, and I work in the cartoon art form, and that's what I really love. But I think the cartoon art form is probably one of the most imaginative art forms there is available. It may be, I think it's one of the more difficult art forms because not everybody can do a cartoon. But I like to make work that makes people feel good. And I really want people to look at my work and get a smile. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not here to make a political statement on anybody. I'm not here to bring more nastiness to this world. I'm here to make some happiness and hope.
Absolutely.
There are good things.
Absolutely. Well, that's amazing. I mean, I think as young folks, when we're, you know, born artists, and we sit back and we draw and we paint and we pretend. And it's awesome to hear that you said that you were going to work for Disney and then you actually ended up doing that. That's awesome.
It was hard work. It's persistence.
Yeah.
And I think to be an artist, you have to be persistent. And like I tell my students, you know, if you want to be an artist, you have to have the same persistence you had when you were 2 years old and you wanted to walk. Because that persistence and that determination you had then, you all had it. You should still have it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
you know, because you'd fall down, pick yourself up, cry a little bit, get knocked down, pick yourself up, cry a little bit. But your end-all be-all goal was to walk. So your end-all be-all goal should be to be an artist.
Absolutely.
And you can make it happen if you stay persistent and you work at it.
And I think for a lot of artists too, it's not really, it's just a matter of that's what we have to do. It's not even a choice. What else are you going to do?
No.
I mean, the passion is too deep.
Oh God, it drives me crazy sometimes. In my sleep, I'll wake up and I'll say to Kathy, I'll be like, oh my God, I thought about this. I got to go draw this right now. You know, I'll do something like that. Or I'll go to my studio and start painting because all night I thought about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a drive, it's an inspiration. And when you get that inspiration to create, there's nothing that beats that in this world. There's no drug, no alcohol, no anything that can beat that feeling. And
I keep the sketchbook next to my bed.
Oh yeah.
Because I do have those dreams. It's like they talk to me and tell me something, and I may not understand it right away, but I have to at least sketch out the thing that I saw.
Yeah.
Before it's gone.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because you'll forget it if you let it go. It's like, oh man, because there's so many other images.
Or, you know, you're afraid that you'll forget. I don't know. Yeah. I haven't taken that chance to know if I'll forget it or not, because I get up right away and just get a quick sketch of it.
Oh, it's and there's nothing that beats creating art. I mean, when you're creating, you're in your own zone, you're in your own world. And if I want to move a mountain, I can move a mountain.
Absolutely, I agree.
And I think it's an awesome feeling, and it's a great feeling to walk up to a canvas. I say canvas because I love to paint on canvas. I love to paint, but I've said this before too. I'm a better digital painter than I am a real painter, because digitally I have all these other tricks that you can use, all these different brushes at my hands, all these different media things I can do. But you also have Control Z. Yeah. Where I can say, okay, forget it. I didn't like that. That sucked. Okay, take it out. But, you know, on the canvas, you don't have Control Z. You got to scrape the paint off. You got to clean it up. You got to, and
I think, and probably a lot of viewers will probably say the same thing. But it's a different, feeling.
Yeah.
You know, when you're tactile with the paint and the canvas, and you're right in front of it, and
you're mixing it.
Yeah, and you're mixing the paint. I mean, there's apples and oranges. You know, they both have their function. They both have their passion. You know, I'm a digital artist myself, so I definitely understand where you're coming from. But that's a whole different for me, emotional response.
Yeah.
But I do sometimes when I'm painting, I think about what you just said, that controls the. I was like, I could use that right now.
I wish I could just get rid of that.
Yeah.
No, and what I love and hate about digital is the experimentation I can do. But I hate the fact that when I'm done, I just have air. Like I just did a winter painting. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did.
And I love it, but I'm just like, I can't hold it. I can't hold it and kiss it.
Yeah. Well, you can print it, and then hold it.
I can hold my canvases. I can hold them and walk around with them. That's kind of cool. But it's just air, and it drives me crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Now these pieces behind you, tell me a little bit about them.
Okay, I have a series of these animals I'm doing, and they're mostly endangered animals. And I called the series Hope because the animals are hoping that the humans get it together here, or their environment is going to be gone. And I love painting these animals. I love it, but I do look at them, and I mentioned to Kathy earlier this morning, my girlfriend, I said, this one looks a little too sad. I don't think I should put it up. I don't know if I could bring it. My orangutan looks really sad because his environment is escaping him.
Yeah, I remember seeing that one.
And I really like to paint these guys colorfully because they're beautiful, beautiful beings, if you will.
Yeah.
Their souls are beautiful, and they would never do anything to harm us. You know what I mean? And we're harming them.
Yeah, that's the sad part. I think there's a lot of people who are really trying to turn that around, but then there's just a whole lot of people who don't care.
Yeah, they just don't care. They're not going to be
They're
here.
in their own worlds. I mean, I realize that the world is very much, a money-hungry, greedy situation.
Yeah.
And
who cares? I'll be dead in 100 years or whatever.
Right. And they don't think about their grandchildren or their children's, their children. They don't, it's like there's no thought about what's being left behind to your own flesh and blood.
Well, think about the beings that are just being affected by us, and they have no say in it at all.
Absolutely none.
I mean, none. These guys, they have no say in it. The walrus is swimming amongst all the plastic.
Yeah, when they attack, then they're mad. They need to be put down.
Oh yeah. You better put that thing away. You better kill it.
It's ridiculous.
And it's crazy. And then the other stuff I've been doing, I do a lot of landscapes and a lot of sunrises and sunsets, and I might get a little grief sometimes from people that say, you paint too many suns, but everybody needs a little sunshine.
Absolutely.
And so when I paint this stuff, I try to do it really colorful. I try to make it really engaging for the viewer, and I want the viewer to jump in and feel good. I want you to go into my little environment there along the river and say, man, I wish I was walking along there.
And ever since I've been looking at your work and stuff, even as a child, I've always been a huge Dr. Seuss fan. I grew up with dyslexia, so I couldn't really read that well. But the colors and just the simplicity of the landscapes and the characters drew me in. I could tell the story without reading it.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it, because nature is both complex and simple.
Yeah.
You can understand it, and if you don't understand it, eventually you will. Because it will explain itself over time.
And it'll calm you down.
And it calms you down. It provides you with peace and comfort. And I think that's what your paintings do. I mean, at least
Thank you.
me.
Well, that's what I hope they do. I mean, that's what I really want them to do. I want just to adventure in imagination. I just want you to jump into imagination and go. And like I'm a faculty member here at Columbia and up at Milwaukee Area Technical College, and I taught for several years, quite a few years, at University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. And I tell my students, stick with what you feel good about. Paint
now,
what you
what part
feel.
are you teaching? Are you teaching?
Animation and drawing.
Oh, nice.
Quick sketch, gesture drawing, and stuff like that. I'm fascinated by gesture. I'm fascinated by posing, and I'm fascinated by movement.
Right.
Hence animation. But I'm also fascinated by cartoon form and bringing people into an imagination.
Yeah.
Imaginary worlds are just amazing worlds for people to dive into. And some people say they don't have imagination, and I think they're counting themselves short.
Oh yeah, they're afraid to, maybe. I don't know. I've run into those kind of people too. They'll say, oh, I wouldn't do that. I mean, it's, what are you going to do with it? Like, you're going to enjoy it. Art isn't a commodity. It is, it is, it is the soul.
Yes.
I mean, what would the world look like without art? We wouldn't have architecture.
There would be nothing here.
There would be nothing. We wouldn't have architecture. We wouldn't have paint colors. You couldn't paint your house anything but white or black.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole slew of things they don't think about.
Well, science is nothing without art.
Right.
That famous quote is, and that's so true. I mean, you can have a theory, I can have a theory, or just for instance, I can say dog. You have a dog in your head right now, I have a dog in my head, and then I say cartoon dog. You have a cartoon dog until
Absolutely.
I put it down, then we'll start talking about the dog.
Yeah.
Then
Mine was Scooby-Doo. What were you?
Yeah, mine was Snoopy. But you start talking about these dogs, you start talking about it, and then once it gets on the paper and it's visual, then people, I get it, yeah. Like I've told people, I tell my students too, that I don't need language, I need art. I could cartoon my way around the world. I bet you I could cartoon my way around the world. Talk to people through cartoon and get everything I need.
Yeah, I agree.
I've done that. I've been, once I was in Spain and I didn't, right when I got there, I was like, I need coffee. So I drew a guy drinking coffee. I said, huh? And the guy goes, cafe con leche, come with me. Oh, yeah. Like, that's what I want.
That's right. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's awesome. I think, well, one of my questions then, have you, being, a teacher, have you seen your students move on and do the things that they've dreamt about doing?
Oh, yes. Yeah, and that's a great feeling. A couple of my students, Brooke Duckhart, she was a student of mine at Milwaukee Art Technical College, and then she went on to UWM, and she's been at Leica for the last 8 years.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And she's doing fabrication. She did all the fur on the monkey in Cuba and the Two Strings.
Oh, neat.
She built those puppets, and that's really cool. And I have Steve Wells. Steve Wells went to Nickelodeon. I have other students like in Chicago here. One of my students, Chad Edwards, he's working as an artist here in Chicago, doing his thing and following through on his dream about being a real artist, and he's doing great. Big Shot Robot up in Milwaukee is doing great things.
Yeah.
And I have students that go out there and make it. I have Taylor Torres, who's out at Cartoon Network right now, and it looks like he's going to get a show Maybe. He's trying to push in for it.
Nice.
And he's done some great things. I mean, I have a lot of students that are all around the world right now.
Nice.
That are doing things. And I'm so proud of them all because they're sticking to it.
Absolutely.
They're
well, shout out to all your students.
Yeah. And I've had a couple go to Disney, and they've, one went to Disney and wasn't too happy with it, but it's still, they're following their dream, they're getting their answers. But then I have a lot of talented young people that I've had that won't jump out of the bubble of home, won't leave the Midwest.
Yeah.
And go venture out. And once they do, they grow so much. Yeah. And, I wish they would. But some of them, I have students, Adrian Trotter was a student of mine at METC. And he drew okay when he first came in. And that was the first year when we got Cintiqs to draw on the tablet. And he would sit down and draw. He would be in that lab and ask if I could unlock my my digital life drawing room so he could go draw. And he'd be in that lab from 8 o'clock in the morning till security chased him out at 10:30 at night.
Oh, wow. Dedication.
And now his artwork is phenomenal. He's selling stuff at Comic-Cons. He's all over the place. He's traveling around the United States, Canada. He's doing great things. Yeah. I mean, it's phenomenal to see him grow as an artist.
Yeah.
And I love that kid because he put the time in.
Everybody's got their own agenda. I think it's, passion is definitely something that's always there to guide you and push you in the direction that, you're born to go into. Now, whether you fight that is on you. I mean, I've watched a lot of great artists fight that and just, go back to school, and now some of them are, lawyers or doctors, and they still kind of do art on the side, and but it's fine. Everybody has to make their own, way in this world, And as long as, the way that I see it, as long as you're still doing your art and it still fills you with something, then that's fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful thing not to give up.
Yeah.
You can't walk away from it. I mean, I know artists that, do their weekend things. I meet them at the art fairs and stuff, but they're so passionate about it and they love their artwork.
That's right.
And I think that's just, it's inside you, like we said. It's an inner force that you can't fight.
Yeah.
And if you give up on
it, you can be taught technique, but you cannot be taught to have passion. You're either born with it or you're not.
Yeah.
And that's really the bottom line.
And like you said about fighting it, growing up, I grew up in northern Illinois, up by Beach Park, and I told people that I was going to be an artist. I was going to work for Disney. I was going to do it. And my father was a Teamster, and I loved him dearly. And he was always like, "Well, my son's going to be an artist. This is my son, the artist. Our hockey player. I played hockey too, but he." And then people would always tell him, "Hey, Russ, tell Tim he's going to have to drive truck." And my dad's like, "He's going to do what he's going to do." And then in private, he'd say, "I want you to go to law school. Lawyer is where it's at. Those guys make the money." I'm like, "Dad, I don't want to do law. I don't want to do that." "Well, you should go to law school." No, I'm going to be an artist. And he believed in me to do it, but he was afraid that I would fail and be starving, like everybody says. Everybody says they're starving artists. That's a bunch of bunk.
Yeah.
I mean, if you stick to it, you'll do fine.
Yeah, it's blood, sweat, and tears no matter what career you go in.
Yeah.
There's always sacrifices to be had. I think for me as an artist, I choose sacrifice.
True.
There's the difference between me and the 9 to 5. I also think, like my family, I'm the first generation that was born here in Illinois. All my family is from the South. So they knew nothing about art. But I had a huge, long line of talented people in my family. But their notion was always, you have to have a real job that pays real money, have real insurance, and take care of yourself.
Yeah.
That was it. Whether you finished high school or went to college was not their concern. The concern was, can you work? Can you take care of yourself? Can you pay your bills? Otherwise, they worried till the cows came home. So when I left my corporate jobs and decided I was going to art school, follow my passion as an artist, because I was always an artist from the time I could hold a crayon.
Yes.
So I knew that was going to happen for me, but I didn't know when or what my life was going to look like. But I fought for every single thing. And I never stopped.
Yep. Oh, well, see, I did the same thing. I was going to do it one way or another. And I was accepted to CalArts back in 1982. 82, I think it was, 82. And because I went out to the Cartoonist Union to a night school, and I got there and they said, "There's no work." I'm like, "What?" And they go, "You should go up to this CalArts. They're doing the character animation thing. Go up there." And I went up there and they said, "Well, it's going to cost you $8,000 a year." And I'm like, I don't have that kind of money. And then they said, "Well, we'll give you a scholarship." I said, "Okay." And I still didn't have the money. I didn't have the full amount I needed. So nothing was going to stop me. And I went to an Air Force recruiter. I went in the military. I was told to take my portfolio to boot camp. I went through hell with that. Drill sergeants were ripping me a new one for having a portfolio at boot camp, and I could go on for hours about it.
Right.
But I stuck it out, and then I was a base cartoonist. I got the job as an illustrator, which is why I took my portfolio to boot camp.
Right.
And it was 4 years and 4 months, but I got out, and I had to stay in because I had a thing going on with a disability thing going on, and because my leg got messed up. But I finally got out. And I went back to CalArts. And I was already accepted from 82, and Mr. Winquist was like, "You're the kid that went in the military for that." I thought, "Yes, I am." "Well, welcome back."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, thank you."
I bet that was a real experience for you.
Oh, yeah. It was crazy. It was fun.
Yeah, I know a lot of people. I was this close to going to military. I mean, I went and did the exam and everything, but when it came to the physical, they were like, no.
No.
Because I had a bone disease when I was a
Yeah.
little kid, so they were like, you can't.
Oh. Well,
Oh, great, thanks.
that thing that yeah, you were like, you're lucky.
Because I mean, I was a sharpshooter.
Oh no, see,
I was very good. I was in the
terrible.
ROTC for 4 years.
Oh my
and
God.
That's what prompted me to want to go into the
Wow.
military.
I'm not a sharpshooter. I'll tell you that. I can draw.
I don't know if that I am now. I'm saying
No,
then,
I
when I could
wasn't
actually see.
I wasn't then. I'll tell you that I wasn't then. No, I was a cartoonist.
Yeah.
But I got stationed at Holloman Air Force Base, which was right down in the middle of nowhere, White Sands Missile Range, New Mexico.
Oh wow.
There's nothing there. Nothing.
Animals?
No.
No?
Rattlesnakes and scorpions. That's about it.
Yikes.
Then they transported the African oryx over, those antelope, and they were pretty cool. They're thriving down in White Sands. Yeah.
Nice.
But you didn't see much. You might see a coyote, but it was just barren white sand.
Wow.
For 4 months.
And did you draw a lot then?
Yeah, I drew a lot of cartoons. I was like, I like to tell people I was kind of like a cartoon whore.
Yeah.
Everybody that walked into the graphic art shop, I was like, hey, you need a cartoon. Hey, you want a cartoon? Hey, buddy, get over here. You want a cartoon? And within 6 months, I was just doing cartoons.
Yeah.
For briefings, I'd do cartoons. I would do it for training. I did cartoons for events on the base. I drew cartoon jets and things like that. But
Awesome.
That's what I did. I mean, it was fun.
I'm sure it got you through that time in your life.
Well, I was really thankful. I was really fortunate.
Yeah. Because art does that. You know, it helps you forget where you are and what you're doing, and it just takes you to a whole different world.
Well, I honestly think it was kind of karma.
Yeah.
Because my father was a World War II vet, and he was in like 6 invasions or 7 invasions, something like that, in South Pacific. Mm-hmm. And, I'm thankful that he survived all that, but that was hell.
Yeah.
And I think, he was besides himself. When I went in and I got the job as a cartoonist, he was like, "You're doing what? You're not drawing cartoons." I said, "Yes, I am, Dad." He goes, "No, I got to come down there and see this. I got to see this stuff." I was like, he said, "You're drawing cartoons?" He said, "I can't believe it." And he came down.
Did he?
He came down to the shop and he was like, "This is what you're doing." I said, "Yeah." But I said, "Dad, I'm on mobility too. Mm-hmm. Every once in a while I get sent out to make maps." But, he was tickled though. He said, "Only you go in the Air Force and draw cartoons."
He was proud of you though.
Yeah,
right?
he was. He was super proud.
That's good.
Yeah, it was fun.
It took a long time for my family to get it. And I don't think that they really understand it. I think they do try, and they support me in the best way that they can.
Yeah.
Because I'm the crazy artist in the family.
Oh yeah.
And I've got my own way of things, and even if I'm not physically working on something, my brain is always on
it's always
things.
out there.
It's always out there. So I'm not really one who wants to be talking and part of the conversations all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My mind just is everywhere.
Yeah, I like to analyze things too. I like to watch people. I love to be at a party and just watch people. And, I like to talk too, but I mean, I'd rather talk a little bit and then watch people and see how they do things and see what they do.
Yeah.
Because it's all part of the cartoon world and animation. You got to realize how people are and how they act. And in animation, you have to over-exaggerate movement and over-exaggerate acting.
Yeah.
But people themselves, when you watch people, are very reserved and very timid to stand out. They don't want anybody to see them. Nope. Don't make anybody notice you.
Oh, I know. I love animation. I'm probably the oldest, biggest kid alive. Next to me. Yeah, next to you. Because I still play. I was telling my mom I'm wrapping all the Christmas gifts for the kids, because my niece has she's going to be 2 years in June.
Wow.
And, we're all excited. And so we got her all these toys because now she can play and I can play with her,
That's a blast.
I said, I cannot wait to open these presents so I can play with these toys.
And they'll start tearing through them like, whoa, how that was over here. Hold on.
Yeah, I
And it's
can't
so much
wait.
fun.
I cannot
Oh,
wait.
it's so much fun.
And I still play video games.
Of course.
I love animation. I could sit and watch it. I just watched Arcane.
Yeah, how was that? I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, very good. Very good. I was
really good
very
things.
pleased with it. Yes. Oh my God, it was beautiful.
Yeah. There's
All of
some
it.
beautiful, amazing animation out there. Like Claws is beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that. That's
Yes, I did.
amazing. And there's just beautiful, beautiful things out there that really make a beautiful statement.
Yeah.
And I think, the guys at Disney, the guys at Pixar, people can say whatever they want about it, but they really know how to tell a story, and they really know how to tell a feel-good story.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a beautiful thing to have. And it's a beautiful statement. It's, animation.
And I mean,
looks
not to cut any corners either,
Yeah.
because I hate getting all juiced up to watch something that everybody's like, oh yeah, this is coming out. And then you watch and you're like, yeah, the characters were great, but what happened to all the details?
Yeah.
Like what happened?
Yeah.
I don't like that. But the Arcane series, I wasn't sure, because you're let down so many times with these films. But I watched out the first episode, boom, I was hooked.
Yeah.
Everything, all the details to me were spot on, because it's from a game.
Yeah. Well, the frustrating thing, I think, when you work in film or you work in television as an artist, is you have the vision, you have what you want to make, your statement. You want to do this animation in so many ways, and you want to do it. But then you have the man who, some of the times they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground.
That's true. I was going to say that, but I didn't want to.
But I said it, But I'm just saying that they're worried more about the money than they are about the quality.
Absolutely.
And the artist will always fight for quality. And, producers will be like, no, it's going to cost too much. Don't do that. Don't do that.
There should be a disclaimer at the end. Here is the man's number if you disagree.
Yeah. Because it's kind of,
Call him.
It's interesting, It's interesting when you work in television, and that, like, you have a certain amount of work you have to get done every week. You have a certain amount of scenes. If you don't get those scenes done, they'll be at your desk the next, that following Monday and say, what's going on? What are you doing? Layoffs are coming. And you're like,
You're working night and day.
Yeah, why are you threatening me? Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen in all production, but in some productions, it's like that.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's crazy.
I worked in corporate. I've not worked in a creative corporate, but corporate is corporate.
Yeah.
And they are always about the bottom dollar. That's it. That is it.
Yeah, and I was supervising animation in India, and when I got to India, they said that I had 30 animators, and I got there and he said, we have 30 artists. I said, oh yeah? I said, you said animators. He goes, no, we have artists. He said, we have 10 animators and 20 artists. I'm like, oh, okay. But the thing is in that studio, it was a sweatshop, and it was like crazy, because it was like the first guy in had to go all the way back to the back corner. And that was his chair. And so then it was 10 back like that. The 10th guy moved his desk in, and then the next number 11 came in. And they all had to be in line.
Oh, really?
In that order before the door opened. So if number 1 was late, he had 29 people ready to kill him.
Right.
Because they all got docked.
Oh, wow.
But that was, I watched that, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. This is just, this poor, then they file in, and when they go on break, number 1 better be back in position.
Wow, I didn't know it was like that.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was just like, oh my God.
So when you're in that type of environment, did you find that all you artists got along and worked well together, or was it like a real put your gloves on and go at it kind of?
No, the artists always try to do what you want. They try to visualize what you're visualizing. They try to get it done, and most artists try to work through it. Now, there are artists when you say, no, I don't really like this, and they'll get mad.
Yeah.
But I found that when I work with people, they mostly want to get to to the end. They want to get to the finish line and make it look good. Yeah. So the artists are fine, you know, and a lot of the times it's the studio heads that are, you know, a little bit wayward in their ego, so to say.
Right.
But, you know, it usually all works out. And like I tell my students, and I used to say it when I was working in production, you know, if I was catching heat, I would be like, you know, nobody's going to die here. It's not like we're hitting the beach. It's
right.
not like we're in a foxhole.
Mm-hmm.
So back off. You know.
Now, do you miss that?
Sometimes I miss being with other artists like that.
Yeah.
You know, and I miss seeing the final product like that. But I don't miss the daily stress of, what are you going to get done today? What are you going to get done? What are you going to, what's going on? You know, because when I was at Disney Interactive, I was in charge of the animations and that were being done on games. And, you know, it was easy to kind of call me out once in a while and say, hey, how come, are they uploading that stuff right now? This better be uploaded by noon or it's going to be you. And I'm working with a company in Poland, I had a company in Wisconsin, a company in Ottawa. And I'm like, they're uploading it. Don't worry about it. It's going to be there. And if it wasn't uploaded, you know, I'd have a room looking at me going, you said you were going to have this uploaded, Decker, at 10 o'clock. It's coming. You know, and this is back in the 90s and early 2000. And I was like, it's here. It's coming. Just a minute. It'll be here.
Yeah, they don't. I guess the rest of us, when we watch animations, we don't realize how many tears happened in making it.
Yeah. Well, it can be the most wonderful job, and it can be the most, you know, I learned how to sweat blood. Let's say that.
Yeah, I believe you.
And I never knew what sweating blood meant. You know, guys in animation said, you're going to sweat blood. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm sweating blood? And I was hired as an intern on Ninja Turtles back in 94, I think. I want to say 94, 95. But I thought I was going to be like Coffee Boy. You know? You know, I thought I'd be Coffee Boy and running her over. And it was like, you're doing character layout. I'm like, what do you, I'm an intern here. I don't know. And the producer hated my guts.
Oh, wow.
He said, you can't draw these Ninja Turtles. What the hell are you doing here? And I'm like, hey, dude, I'm an intern. I thought I was making copies and running coffee. I didn't know I was going to be doing this stuff. And he was like, this kid can't draw. And I'm like, he's raising hell about me. And I'm like, okay. And finally he goes, we're moving you, intern. I said, where are you putting me? And they put me on Alvin and the Chipmunks. Oh. 5 decades of rock and roll. And Freddie Crippen, who was a famous old animator from United Picture Artists, was the main guy. And so I got put in Freddie's room. And, you know, before that, I was sweating blood at the table every day, thinking, oh, Michelangelo, I got to draw my whole Raphael. Oh. And he kept saying they don't look, they don't even know the difference. And I'm like, I know the difference. It's color. And they're like, you know. And I would sit there literally just ready to cry and collapse because I could draw him, but I couldn't draw him perfectly.
Right.
You know, and I was, But then I went over to Freddie, and Freddie goes, don't let him get to you, kid. And I was like, I'm not letting him get to me. He goes, you're letting him get to you. Don't let him get to you. And I'm like, oh, my God. I'm like, okay, Freddie. He goes, you're going to draw cartoons here. He said, we're working in cartoons. Let's have fun. And so I worked on Simon a lot. I did a lot of Simon stuff, and so it was kind of fun. And Freddie was like, then one day, Freddie called me over, and he was flipping his work, which is an old-time term, because you would draw and you'd flip your drawings and have to watch to see if they're moving. And he goes, yeah, don't let that guy get to you. I said, okay, I won't let him get to me. And I said, all right. So we're talking, and he goes, I don't let any of these guys get to me. These producers, they can, go rubbish or whatever. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, they don't get to me at all. And I'm talking to him, and I realize that he takes a break, and he reaches into his drawer. He pulls out a bottle of Maalox, swings Maalox. And I looked at his hand, he's got a stain of Maalox on his hand, and he goes, they don't ever get to me. And I was like, yeah, they're getting to him. I'm like, they're riding this guy's ass. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah,
he's got
stomach ulcers.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. But Freddie was amazing. He taught me so many cool things, and he wasn't like swigging Maalox, but I mean, he had it every there once in a while if he got nervous. But yeah, who didn't at that time?
Now, do you have any upcoming shows coming up?
I don't have any shows coming up yet. I'd like to get some going, but I thought with COVID, everything's been kind of dead with everybody. Yeah. And so I've been painting like a mad dog, and now I have all these paintings that are starting to burst out of my house.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta, I don't know how this is gonna look for next year, honestly. I mean, I'm just taking it one day at a time.
Yeah.
You know, some of the artists here at the center is starting to open up on third Fridays, but I have opted against it for myself. Of course, my collective members, they have a key to the space. They could open up if they want, but I just choose not to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not interested in having COVID. My dad had it. I've lost family members from it. So I've looked it in the eye. I've worried about it to all kind of extent. But I'm not so worried, you know, I'm around people. I'm just not interested in being in a room with zero ventilation with 20, 30, 40, or 100 people as we normally used to get during Third Fridays. So, but like I said, I don't hold that against anybody else who's part of the space. They can open up if they want. Mm-hmm. But they don't choose to, so that was completely up to them. But how next year is going to look, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. Now we got the new variant. So what does that mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I've been looking. I'm starting to look at it, and I'd like to get a show. I'd like to have a show out for these guys, because I think they make a powerful statement.
Yeah.
You know,
some of those places you might want to try to see if you can even just do your own show is maybe like some of the nature places like arboretums or conservatories or zoos, because they have shops. They also have little event rooms. I mean, they're doing stuff all the time.
Well, I was talking over with Kathy that you know, I'd love to paint murals for the animals, not for the patrons. Mm-hmm. But I'd love, like in their night space or something, to paint something for them to see how they react. Yeah. And I think it would be so cool. I think it'd be really cool, you know, until elephant backs up and pees on it, and I'd be like, "Oh, what are you telling me?" But you know, I think it'd be wonderful to have, you know, I think it'd be cool to do art for them, because, you know, really they are slowly going insane in zoos, and you know, I understand zoos have a purpose. I'm not saying nothing against them. I'm just
that could be a proposal for you to, you know, we got the
psychologically. I think it'd be impactful. For the animal, I think it'd be kind of fun. Yeah. You know, those are kind of things I think those are things that you think about in your sleep. You wake up thinking, "Wow, I wonder if, you know." Absolutely. I wonder if a monkey would appreciate my artwork.
Well, I hope you do some of that. That'd be really interesting to see, and make sure if you do that you're recording it. You know, from start to finish, because I think that would be really interesting content.
I think it would be cool.
Yeah. Now, are you working on any animations, or it's just mainly digital?
No, art? Just digital stuff, and I'm working with the students, and I right now I have 8 classes going, so I'm kind of swamped with student work. Right. And I really put a lot of effort into mentoring my students and trying to get them to really go forth.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're doing a good job.
Yeah. Yeah. They're my students keep me young. Yeah. And that's the nice thing about teaching now.
Well, you gotta make sure they watch, so they see you giving them all these great compliments. Yeah, they're gonna be, wow, he said my name.
He's nice. He's nice. He's really nice. He's not the grudge emoji I thought he was. No.
He didn't bring his whip with him to the interview.
I didn't have my kid in there.
So if you had any advice for like, you know, what would be the biggest advice you'd give somebody?
The biggest advice I'd give anybody is, don't take no for an answer. Draw, and draw some more, and draw some more. And don't be afraid to experiment, and don't be afraid when someone says, "Hey kid, you got style." That's a good thing. Yeah. You know, when I went to art school in Denver at Rocky Mountain School of Art, the founder said, "Kid, you got style," Phil Steele, and I love that man to this day. And I was like, "What do you mean I got style? I suck at drawing the body. What are you talking? You got style, kid. I can tell your style." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And I never understood it. And then I stuck with it. And I ended up meeting Corny Cole at Cal Arts. He goes, "Kid, you got style." I'm like, "Stop the style crap. What does it mean?" And I stuck to my style and that, and I did fine. But I get it, because when I was at school at Cal Arts, there was guys there like Craig McCracken and Gendy Tarowski and Peter Shin and all these guys. Oh, wow. They're all amazing artists, but they all stuck to their style. And they all got jobs and they all got stuff going because they stuck to their style. And then their cartoons came out in their style, and it was cool.
Yeah.
You know, and then I see other artists now as I'm older who have a style, and I understand it, and they're sticking to it and they embrace it. That's the thing, is embrace your style, embrace your artwork, embrace what you do and how you do it, because nobody else does it like you.
Right.
And if somebody walks up and says, you suck, go to hell.
Yeah.
I don't
mean,
care.
one of my biggest thing is
the thing is you got to be able to take that, brush it off, and move on, because somebody else is going to walk up and say, I love it.
Right. Absolutely.
And you got to take the good with the bad, and you got to toughen up your skin a little bit.
Well, art isn't for everybody.
No.
You know, it's everybody is going to look at it, and it's going to affect them in different ways. So they'll love it or they'll hate it, and that's just the name of the game.
Well, when you go to art school, when you go through critique and the professor rips you a new one.
Oh yeah.
You walk out of there thinking, I should just go run in front of a train.
We didn't sleep, and when we were in class, a lot of us were crying because we stayed up all night working on these projects just to be a millimeter off.
I know, and I eventually got to the point.
What is a millimeter? Like, I don't even know what a millimeter is. I can't even think about what a millimeter, because you're just so over it. You're
so immersed in trying to make it right for that person, and it's really take what they say with a grain of salt and learn from what they say.
Oh yeah.
Take their tips.
It's hard to do when you're in the moment.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I appreciate all of that.
Yeah.
Today.
Oh yeah.
Then I was crying.
Yeah, then
Today,
you cry. Yeah,
I'm good.
Well, I would sit down going, "What am I doing?" And I got the founder of the school telling me I got style, and this guy's telling me, if I see one more cartoon out of you, Decker, you're going to be gone. And I'm like, "What are you doing? This is what I want to do. Let me." And I used to argue that with some teachers. Like, "This better be the last cartoon." I was like, "What are you talking about? This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Help me along with what I want to do.
Yeah.
Don't turn me into George Bridgman. I mean, I love George Bridgman. I'll never be able to draw like George Bridgman. I try. I can draw construction. I can do everything he's done, but I don't want to draw exactly like him.
You got to tell your students that when I'm harder on you, that means that I believe in what you are capable of doing.
I see what you can do.
Yeah, that's what I've learned, because my instructors told me later. They're like, because we saw great things coming out of you.
Yeah.
And if we didn't care, we would have just left you do whatever, I mean, how many students can you pamper? I didn't feel like it at the time that it was pampering.
Yeah.
But I understand now that they focused on me and pushed me to think outside of the box.
Well, yeah. See, and I have a conversation I had with Corny Cole. I used to get to school early at Cal Arts, and I'd get there every morning at 7, and because I had to get dropped off. Because my wife had to go down to Pasadena, so my ex-wife. So I had a coffee pot in my studio space, and Corny didn't have a coffee pot in his office. So he'd come up and spend all morning with me. And there was times I wanted to really clock him, because I'd say, Corny, how do I do this? I don't know how you do it. I'm like, what do you mean? I said, Corny, show me how to draw this thing. And I'm not going to show you. I'm like, what are you talking about? You got to show me. And he's like, no. And then he goes, Tim, if I show you how I would draw it, then you're going to draw what I want. You're going to draw what I did.
Right.
And then that becomes mine.
Yeah.
And he goes, if you do it your way and you work through it, it's yours. I'm like, it's not helping me, Corny. How should I do this? Figure it out. Well, why don't you help me figure it out? Because like I said, it'll be mine and it won't be yours.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out how you're going to do it. And during that time, I was so upset with Corny at times. I was just like, he never sits down and shows me what he's going to do. And he might say, just add a little bit of flick of the wrist or something. Yeah, but never draw anything for me.
Right.
I was like,
but now you know.
But now I understand it, because
you appreciate it.
When I first started teaching, I would go in and say, no, go like this. And I'd start drawing stuff. And then later on, I'd look at the animation and say, wow, what were you thinking there? You were really on the ball there. Oh, that's your animation. I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, I just used your animation, that part. I'm like, and then, Corny was in the back laughing at me in the back of my head. I was like, okay, Corny, all right, I get this now. Okay, I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And Phil Steele used to say things like, we'd be in life drawing rooms, and he'd go up to other students. He goes, "Are you looking?" Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah, yeah, you're looking. Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah. Are you seeing?
Yeah, that's a different thing.
And they're like, "I'm looking. I'm seeing." He's like, "You're not seeing the form. You're not looking to see the form. You're just looking. You're gawking." Yeah. And he'd be frustrated. He'd walk away, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I never understood that in the beginning. Mm-hmm. But then after a couple semesters with Phil, I understood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was always afraid to answer that question. Do you see?
Yeah.
Do you see it? And I'd be like, yeah, no. Mm-hmm. Because it was just one of those things. I was like, I don't know. Do I see it? I don't know if I see it.
Tell me what I'm seeing, Kim.
What am I seeing? But you know what I mean? It's like that kind of stuff. And I think when you're talking about a person's style, and it's true, and it's like I've been asked by a lot of upcoming artists, how do I find my style? And I always said, quit copying what you see. Because I don't know how to tell them any other way. Mm-hmm. Stop trying to be Picasso.
Yeah.
Stop trying to be like me or anybody else. You can't do what I do. No. You can only do you. Look at yourself. Feel what you feel and let yourself go.
Yep.
Yeah,
and I and it's hard for students because they're like, well, I want to draw like this. I'm like, no, that's great. That's already been done. Draw like you.
Draw like you.
Just
paint
do your
like
thing.
you. Photograph like you.
Yeah.
I don't photograph, paint, create anything like anybody else.
Yep.
And I see you don't either.
Yeah.
But they pushed you to that, because they knew better. They knew to show you that don't do me, do you.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I think today that's not the case.
Yeah.
They want you to be very strict about what they want you to draw.
Oh, I know. And I was on I sat in on a couple master's reviews for painters and stuff a couple years ago. And these young painters I thought they were doing some pretty phenomenal stuff. I thought they were doing some good things. But my fellow professors were just out to beat them. You suck. This isn't working. That isn't working. And I got really mad at them. And then they asked me what I thought. And I told the artist, I said, I really like what you're doing. You're doing yourself. You're doing you. And I like what you're going. I can see where you're going with this. I can see that you grew from the first painting to the last painting of this series. Mm-hmm. I can see that you're doing good things. Keep doing those good things. And there's critics out there. You don't have to listen to every critic. And I was kind of looking at the room. But they were just trying to make him feel insignificant to what they were doing. And it's wrong.
Absolutely.
I really get really mad about
a lot of times those type of artists are miserable because they only follow one school of thought.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in any of it. I don't believe that there's a mastery of any kind of craft. When you've mastered something, what does that mean? I'd like somebody to actually explain to me, when I've mastered something, does that mean I'm done? Am I finished? Am I dead? Yeah. I mean, what does it mean? And does technique ride over passion?
No.
Those are the kinds of things that I have gone against since leaving art school. But I can tell you, when I was in art school, I had some amazing instructors that allowed me to be me. And, even though the curriculum that they put together didn't really include that type of what I was doing, they accepted it because it was good. Yeah. And although I didn't know it was at the time, but they wanted to foster that. They're like, wow, they wouldn't have thought to do that,
Well, see, here's another story. I'm sorry, I keep going off tangents, but
no, that's good.
I had a gesture class, quick sketch for animation, and I was teaching it, and I was fortunate because I went over to the music school and asked if we had any music students that would be interested in playing during life drawing, And some people are, there's logic that you don't listen to music when you draw. It messes up your thought pattern. Some people say that's hogwash. To me,
Yeah,
that's
to
my
me
opinion.
too. Yeah.
But so I got a bass player, a stand-up bass player, a saxophonist, and a guy that played bongos. Kind of bizarre. But I had the hippest gesture class on campus. And it was, we were drawing everything in sequential movement. So we're drawing. And we had the jazz band going. It was a blast. I had 40 students. We were just rocking and rolling. And it was Friday afternoon, quick sketch.
Yeah.
And the students loved it because we were drawing. And they were doing, in a semester, about 2,000 drawings. Now, mind you, that I was not your typical traditional instructor for life drawing. I mean, I work on structure, I work on form, I work on weight, I work on balance, I work on modeling. I work on all that stuff.
Right.
But I embrace my students trying new things.
Absolutely.
And I embrace letting them be inspired and be themselves. I'm not telling them to draw like me, I let them draw like them. And there was a life drawing instructor. My students were going to him the next semester. And he got wind of who was who after the first class. And he took 10 of my students outside his classroom. He met them outside the classroom. And he said, Professor Decker really inspires you. And they said, oh yeah. He gives you a lot of energy. And they said, yeah. You love drawing for Professor Decker? Yes. That quick sketch class is what you want? Yeah, we have a great time in there. Well, let me tell you something. Check everything that Decker gives you at the door and don't bring it into my classroom.
Oh, wow.
And they were all really offended. I was offended. And I went and called them on it. But, it's just, what was I guilty of? Inspiring my students to draw.
Right.
Now,
because you're not supposed to enjoy art.
yeah, you're supposed to struggle. You're supposed to struggle and cry and
I didn't know that
crawl
until,
into a rock.
I didn't know that until I met older artists. And I've mentioned this, I think, a couple times in a few other interviews, is the fact that, some of the older artists, I respect them greatly, but I'd been like, why are you so angry? Like, I didn't understand it. I'm like, you're a painter and you paint lovely things,
you
and
do your thing.
But it turns out they were just painting now because it was just to sell it, what they thought other people wanted for, that's going to match their lifestyle. And I was like, well, who told you had to do that? Yeah, you did. You're an older artist. Yeah. I mean, probably 20 years older than I was, and I was like, I'm coming right a kid out of the, candy store. I'm happy. Yeah. I'm skipping, I wasn't miserable yet. Yeah. So I couldn't understand. I was living my dream. Yeah. And I wanted to make that accessible to everybody that I could. And these old guys come in, and as much as I respected them, I was just like, look, if you're not going to be happy about what you're doing here, then why are you here? Yeah. Like, I was happy till you walked in the door. Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I just don't understand why you're so miserable. And then I realized later, because when you're not painting for yourself and you're constantly painting for somebody else, you're not, so you're not, you're not living your best life. No. And I think that's the true thing about true artists, is they paint for themselves first. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if somebody comes along and likes it, that's great. That's it. That's the wonderful thing about it. And if you stay true to yourself, like I was fortunate because all of my mentors that I've had that were fine artists, life drawing people, or, animators, whatever, they all love what they were doing. Yeah. There was never a day where they were really angry about it. Mm-hmm. They always found something new to find in the body. They always found a different way to do a fold. Or they were always looking for something new. Yeah. And they were always inspired by the young people around them. And like they said, I keep going back to Phil. The first time I met Phil, I walked in, I got to a studio and I talked to him, and he goes, "Kid, you're going to be an artist." I said, "Okay."
He goes, you're gonna paint beautiful people every day. He goes, you're gonna paint naked people all day. Now, would you rather paint the figure or go drive a dump truck? I said, well, I'd rather paint the figure, man. Yeah. He goes, that's what I do. I love it. He goes, I do that every day.
Yeah.
He goes, that's what I do. And he goes, I look forward to walking in the studio every day because I get to do what I love.
It keeps us humble. It keeps us true to ourselves. Because otherwise, what else is art? No. You know, if it isn't part of who I am, part of who you are, if you're trying to imitate somebody else, then you're just wasting time.
Yeah.
Wasting time.
Yeah, don't draw like somebody else. I hate that.
Yeah.
And like
that's what you do to practice, to understand what those type of artists were trying to capture, to understand their composition. That's student work.
Yeah.
That's student study. That's not what you come out into the real world and hanging up in people's galleries, your rendition of Picasso.
No.
And I'm sorry, if you guys on YouTube land disagree, that's fine, because we can agree to disagree. But I'm going to tell you, I don't appreciate it. And I'm sure Picasso doesn't really appreciate it either.
No.
Because I can tell you, I've seen a lot of poor renditions that, you know, frankly is, to me, a slap in the face. Yep. You know, it's not a compliment.
No. And I think you know, like you said, it's just follow your instinct, follow what's in your gut.
Yeah.
I mean, really, when you're doing something and you feel good about it, you know you feel good about it, and you keep going because you feel good.
Yeah.
Your instinct is saying go for it.
Absolutely.
And I think, you know, if more people would follow that, they'd be doing more things that they really wanted to do.
Be happy, be yourself. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
I think
don't be afraid of failure.
Absolutely.
Failure happens in life.
And if you don't fail, you don't learn.
Yeah.
That's just like the whole idea of mastering something.
But if you fail and stay miserable, then you know, somebody needs to come around and kick you in the ass.
Yeah, yeah. And
say,
hopefully
look,
this channel will be that, you know, that inspiration to let you know, give you the freedom to be yourself.
Yeah.
And that's all really that I've ever wanted artists to do, is to be them and to enjoy their artist life.
Yeah.
It is a gift that keeps on giving.
Yep.
And I'm going to be preaching this till the end of time. You're going to see me on here as an old lady, you know, still saying the same things because I believe in them so deeply.
I think that, you know, the happiest times I have a lot of the time is when I'm in my studio. And I'm in my own little world. I'm creating what I love, or I'm sketching, I'm drawing something, or I'm coming up with something. And it's my world. It's, you know.
And you have your studio in your home, or do you rent someplace?
Well, I had a studio at the university, and I moved out of there, and then I moved into my basement, and I was really depressed about it, but I wanted to paint from home. So, I mean, my little studio space turned into a great space, and now I'm moving into another place with Kathy, and that studio space is going to be amazing. It's an attic, and we're converting that so we both can work up in there.
Oh, cool.
So it's going to be really cool. It's going to be nice.
Yeah.
You know, right now I'm down in the basement, and 2 o'clock in the morning there'll be a centipede run by, and I'm like, oh!
I know that feeling.
It's a pet centipede. You know, they come out at like 2 a.m. It's like, oh my God, it's scary.
Yeah.
But that's something that scares the hell out of me, really.
Yeah, I feel you. I appreciate bugs, but I just don't want them like real close to me. You know, be in the corner somewhere. Don't let me see you. We can live together.
I have a monster centipede that's in this studio, and I can never catch him. And he's like,
oh my God,
he's huge. He's huge. You know.
That's an animation waiting to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. After I have a heart attack. Yeah.
Well, Tim, you know, I really appreciate us having this conversation. We're almost an hour in.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So this render is going to be long, okay? But I think we'll definitely have to get together again.
Yeah.
And if I can next year, I would love to start doing some studio visits maybe, and just check out some artist spaces. I think that would be really cool.
That'd be fun.
So, but I will let you know. But I wish you all the very best.
Thank you, Robin. Thanks for giving me thanks for giving me the opportunity.
You know, thank you, because this is mutual. I respect what you're doing. I'm glad that you're out there and giving your students the best. And hey, if you students are listening right now, listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about, believe me.
Keep me young, damn it.
Yeah. So good luck with everything, and
yeah.
I look forward to seeing your next painting.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be fun.
All right, guys, thank you so much.
You.
And if you have any questions for Tim, you can leave them in the comments. I'll make sure that he sees those. And in the description, there will be links to his website and his social media sites and a little bit about him. So thank you for watching, and please remember to like our videos if you like them, and subscribe and share with your homies. Bye, guys.